Radio Harrow.
We're doing something different today. It's a long piece that we call Let's Talk About, where we talk about something that's a bit personal to us and something that's a bit different that we feel that we should share on this platform that we have. And today we'll be talking about something that's commonly known as performer's anxiety, but it's more commonly known as stage fright. And it's a subject which is kind of personal to each of us here. I'm Ben Punter. Hello. With me today we have Andrew.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you doing?
Sital.
Hello.
Good.
Good, thanks.
Sarika.
Hello.
Hi, you right?
All good.
We're ready to do this?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, and we should point out it's a very interesting thing that even though all four of us are in front of a microphone right now, none of us have stage fright in this capacity.
That's
Anymore.
true.
Anymore. Now, why is
Yes.
that? Why do we not consider what we do now stage fright? Because many people would consider, I couldn't talk on a microphone. I could never talk in front of that many people.
Yeah, I think because we've got used to it now.
Yeah.
I just remember, and it's great that we're on this with you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember my first ever show?
I do, and I gave you some I gave you feedback, definitely.
Feedback, and I remember that line of feedback, which was very, very well. Do you know your exact words, what you said to me?
You sound like you was on a washing machine.
Yes, you sound like you're sitting on a washing machine.
So
That's
like,
how nervous
hello, everybody,
I
and
was.
welcome to the show. I've got a great show for you today. It's going to be a really great show.
Yeah,
But yeah.
really nervous.
But that was when? What year was that? 2008?
Oh, gosh.
9?
Yeah, 2008 probably.
Yeah. And it's 10 years later, and now the idea of singing in front of a microphone doing a radio show is now what to you?
It feels all right. It feels comfortable. Feel like I know what I'm doing roughly. And weirdly, I find like this microphone a safe space. Like in a weird way, this has helped with my stage fright. If you put a mic in front of me, I feel a bit better. It's weird. If you had me in a room just with a group of people and I was doing a speech to them, I'd be bricking it. But if I had a mic in my hand, I think I'd feel better. And that's from doing radio here.
And Andrew Stout, well, how's your view on that as well?
I agree. Yeah. When you're talking in front of a microphone, it's not like you're talking to a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
You're just talking to. You kind of forget about everyone else.
Yeah.
It's like you're just having conversation with Ben, Sarika, Sital. It's just talking to a friend, really.
Yeah, it's like talking to a bunch of friends like you would do on any normal basis. But the only thing is, there's a microphone in front of you.
Yeah.
But it feels fine, as in doing it now, because I know you guys so well and I've known you guys for years. So I'm not scared or I don't get stage fright.
Yeah.
It's like riding a bike. It's second nature.
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
You don't know anything better anymore. You didn't know you don't remember what it's like to do a show in front of a microphone and be nervous about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
So what are our early memories of stage fright and when it's sort of really hit hard?
Mine, I think, was at school when the teacher picks on you to answer a question. I used to go all red. I never made eye contact with the teacher just in case they picked on me because I just didn't want to speak in front of everyone. Even though I knew the answer would be right, I just didn't want to speak because I was too scared just in case people laughed or stared or anything like that. So that's the earliest memory I have of stage fright.
And how's it now?
Now it's still a bit scary when it comes to work. So if I'm doing a presentation at work, I'll get really, really nervous. Sometimes I won't be able to sleep the night before because I'm just like, oh my God, what if I mess it up? What if I say something wrong? Or what if I forget what I'm going to talk about? All that kind of thing. So I still get really nervous the night before or a few days before leading up to it. And yeah, I still haven't got over that.
Yep.
Maybe it's because my colleagues are completely different to my friends. As in, with colleagues, you have to be really professional. You can't say certain things. You have to stick to the topic. Whereas here on radio, we could just go off topic, talk about whatever. And I know I'm talking to people that I'm relaxed around. Whereas work colleagues can be a bit scary, especially for presenting to like directors or managers.
Yeah. And also it's in that vein, it is also... You have a more immediate reaction, whereas you can say certain things on the radio with friends and people you work with, and they can either laugh, you can make them laugh, or they won't react. Whereas in a public space,
Yeah,
you want to find out what they're thinking, or if you're trying to make them laugh and they don't laugh, you think, oh my god, what have I just said?
Yeah, exactly.
What have I just said?
Yeah.
For me, for my earliest memory, because in researching this, I remember doing a secondary school talent show. And I said, oh Ben, you're funny, you should do stand-up. And I was 14 or 15, and I didn't really know how to do stand-up at all. Let's be honest, I still don't. And all I remember was I memorised a lot of Lee Evans routines. But I didn't memorise them very well because I got half a day off to go do rehearsal in the main big hall. And they said, do you want to rehearse it? And I was like, nah, I'll be fine. And that's a terrible thing. If you've got the opportunity to rehearse it, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
And then we did this whole talent show, and then they said my name, and I walked out. And as soon as I got to the microphone on that stage in front of that auditorium of family and not my family, also like other family and friends and school kids at 8 p.m, I forgot every single word. And I was just in the middle of a stage, age 14, in front of everyone, and I forgot. And I kind of babbled really quickly all the way through the only bits I could remember and sort of paced up and down in silence. And eventually, because there was nothing going on, they booed.
They booed a 14-year-old.
Yeah. At secondary school for you. And so I was like, I just left. I walked off. So I've realised now I've kind of kept that with me. Yeah. And it's just like, that's kind of where my stage fright is. So it's like, if I don't get back on the stage, or if I don't get in front of an audience, they can't boo me. So, haha, I win. I'm not going to go in front of an audience.
So what about when it comes to like how I explained how I'm scared to do it at work, like speak in front of people at work? Does that not affect your working life?
Well, it was it's 14, so it's 99, so it was 20 years ago.
But now, if you're doing something at work and you have to present to someone, for example,
there is still hesitation there.
Yeah,
definitely hesitation there. It also depends on who. I mean, we do here at the station, we do a thing called an AGM, which is an annual general meeting where we all get together and we all have to do presentations and speeches about how the station is running. And at its peak, it can be 50, 60 people in a lecture theatre. And I have to stand behind a podium and I have to do a speech. And I still get very, very nervous doing that, even though I know probably 90% of the people in that room.
I do notice you get nervous before that.
Yeah.
And it's weird because we see you on the radio all the time and you're really confident.
It's the microphone effect of like, well, I'm not in front, I'm not here. If everyone can come down here and I can do the speech, that would be great. But it's not, you can't do that in the real world. So I need to learn how to find the comfort I have here behind a podium, basically.
Okay. That's
my earliest memory of it, and I've kind of carried it with me, and I need to figure out how do I kind of get over that. Because I've done work, so like we have like work TED Talks where you get like you can talk about whatever you want to talk about, and just getting nervous doing that. I did a best man speech, and I rehearsed for about 3 months straight. I'd be at work, and you just hear me sort of talking to myself, like, welcome, and I'd be running through the whole script in my head almost every day for 3 months. So when I actually got up on stage and did the speech, I had cards with me, because I didn't want to do it with a bit of paper. Because if I had a bit of paper, I'd go, hello everyone, and welcome. Yeah. So I didn't want to do that. So I thought, I have those little note cards, like sort of like this sort of size. Because I think that looks quite cool when you can go, hi, and then you can flip them over and you can do that. But I had a nice prop to hold as I was talking. Yeah. I never used the cards in the end because I memorized it so much.
Did you at all like stumble or?
No. I mean, no.
That's pretty, because I think a best man speech is more frightening. See, for me, I'm more frightened if there's people I know there.
See, I'm a bit the opposite, because I did a speech for my sister's wedding last year, and again, I was terrified because there was going to be like about 200 people there, and half the people I don't know, and half the people I did, and then like Ben, I didn't want to have a paper, so I put it on my phone. So I had literally typed it out on my phone. So I just literally looked at my phone throughout the whole thing. And I could tell within myself that I was shaking. I don't know if anyone else could tell. I haven't seen the video back because I'm too scared to watch the video. But I know, like, when you hear your voice change in yourself, and you're like, oh my God, get yourself together.
Yeah.
But luckily, it was a funny speech. People laughed. I don't know if they were doing it to make me feel better. But at the end, I kind of thought, thank God that's over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was just really nervous.
For me, whenever I do something like that and I think, oh, thank goodness it's over.
Yeah.
As soon as it's finished, I'm just thinking to myself, I really want to go and do that again. That was quite fun. So it's like the fear's been put aside.
Yeah, because you've done it now, so you
Yeah.
know what to expect. But still, it's just all those eyes on you.
See, for me, it's weird. I used to work in a project that worked a lot with schools. So it's really weird because I'm quite a quiet person as it is. Like my voice isn't very loud. So there was points where you'd have to go to a classroom and do a workshop. And I always really I enjoyed doing it, but because my voice just isn't loud enough, I couldn't command that room as well as I probably should have. So that always used to like scare me so much. But we also had to at the same time do a big talk in front of 70 teachers in like a lecture theatre, and there I was on a podium and I had a microphone, and that made all the difference. There I could talk and crack a joke, and I felt more comfortable because I felt like people could. I wasn't straining my voice, so I wasn't feeling uncomfortable there. And the prop thing is a big thing, I feel. Like, that really
like me
helps.
having my phone and Ben
Yeah.
having his cards, and
Yeah.
so it does help.
But can I throw in something else in the mix?
Go for it.
So one of my earliest memories of like stage fright is music. So I love music and I've always played different instruments and stuff. But when it comes to performing in front of people, I can't do it. I just can't. And there was a point where I just would stop my whole family coming to watch me play at certain things, and then I was fine. And then there was one day which was counting towards a performance for one of my grades, and my mum came and my whole family came and sat, and I froze in the middle of playing this piece on the piano, which I knew off by heart, didn't need to worry about, but I froze. I had to restart again. And it was just the pressure of knowing that my family were in the audience really got to me. I just can't, I don't know why. And I don't know why it's so much, because that is a prop, but for some odd reason that still scares me.
Is there anything there in that it's the fear of failing in front of someone, not just someone who's just come to see music, but it's failing in front of family, and like they'll remember it as well. Is an element of that in there?
There's a little bit of pressure there, I feel. Like the expectation, because the thing is they hear you all the time at home, but I'll be honest, like my fear of that has got worse. So whereas I feel like my public speaking kind of has got a little bit better, my fear of performing, I'm even scared to practice at home now if I know someone else is at home, because I know they'll hear. So that I've just stopped. So I've become really rubbish at like instruments and stuff. But it's really weird. It's just I've regressed in that.
And Sital, you mentioned about the wobbling and the shaking on the outside. That I've had stuff like that. Is when you kind of become self-aware. It's like you have the fear on the inside, suddenly then bubbles up to the outside, and now the outside's now shaking, and the whole thing.
Exactly.
I've done the speech at that podium, and I've ended up shaking the whole podium because my hand is shaking, and it's shaking the whole desk. But I'm like rigid. But I'm like, I'm channeling the shakes,
and then your voice is shaking as well.
But do you guys get like a physical shake, or is it just you feel internally like you're shaking?
I think I realise it more if I'm not holding something. If I haven't got a prop, I could like feel my hands like go. I don't know what to do with my hands.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that makes me a bit more nervous than I already am.
Okay.
And then I can't kind of like stop talking in sentences. I'm like I kind of like lose my train of thought because I'm focusing on my shaking rather than what's coming out of my mouth.
Yeah. And Andrew, you mentioned about the adrenaline and wanting to go back into doing it.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about that is that certainly for the speeches and stuff I've done, I've been very gung-ho to do them, right to the point where I have to do them. So I'm the charge up to it. I'm like, let's go for it now. I want to do this. I want to overcome this problem. But when I'm actually at the problem, I'm like, oh no, I don't want to do this anymore now. I'm out. I want to bail. So I'm always gun-ho to do it until the point when I actually have to do it.
So that was me at the last AGM in a couple of months ago, and you know, I remember you and I sat down and we looked at this PowerPoint and said that we should include this. We need to talk about that. We need to do that. And before that, this was about an hour and a half before the actual presentation began. I was thinking, I'm so confident about this. Yeah, we can do this. And I got there, and all these people, and I was like, oh. Yeah, it's gone blank.
Yeah,
I even wrote down notes, and I just didn't think to read them.
And you know, pretty much everyone in that room as well. And it's a weird, sudden fear of it's almost it's unexplainable sometimes. And I don't know what that is. It's like that fear of failure, that fear of nervousness and shaking. That's basically that is what stage fright is. But for me as well, for the post speech moment, I always find I end up going up to people going, "How was that? Was that any good?" was I fucked? Give me feedback. I need feedback now. Tell me how that was.
I'm the same.
And I'm like, oh, you were fine. No. Tell me. I need to know where are the faults.
Yeah.
Where did I make a mistake? Was I too fast? Was I too good? I felt I was talking really quickly. Like, was it really quick for you? Like, don't be kind. Be honest. And I always feel that people are trying to be kind. No, you were fine. I don't think
when they're kind, I panic because I'm like, they're just being nice. There's something that went really wrong.
Yeah. It's weird. It's a weird thing. Doing a speech or doing public speaking, I'd rather have honest feedback. And then they say, here are your faults. I'm like, perfect. I'm like, I've been shaking on the inside. I'm now broken on the outside. I'm ready to take some more, some more shtick now. Like, it's fine. Bring it on. Don't hold back. But people will always hold back and say, no, you were fine. Like, no.
Tell me
the truth.
Yeah. I'm like that as well.
So, what are some of the ways and techniques that you've managed to kind of get past it? Stage fright.
For me, it's just been in my head. I'm like, just do it. Once it's done, it's done. Just get it over and done with. That's what I think. I think when it's finished, I won't have to worry about it anymore, and I won't be stressed out. So that's my thinking: is just do it. And obviously the whole practicing thing, and I think it helps when you practice in front of someone, like ask someone, say a good friend or a family member or someone that you're confident in speaking with, and then just see what they think. And I think they will always tell you the truth.
Yep.
So that's how I think I would go about doing it.
I would say also practice. If you can, practice in front of a mirror, because then you can see what you're doing and you can see what other people will see and you can't get a bit of a sense of what you're doing. But then also practice not in front of a mirror, in not an open space, but in a open room with no one else in it. So, because you won't have that moment when you're standing doing a speech, you're not actually looking back at yourself anymore. And you need to now forget the fact you're now not looking at you anymore. You need to think about, can I remember what I'm going to say? Where am I going to look in this very open room of faces? But in a few moments' time, in a minute or an hour or in a couple of days' time, it'll be the exact same space, but it'll just be filled with people rather than it being an empty space.
So, like people, they always say, like, imagine a room with everyone naked.
Yeah.
I don't think that works.
No, I don't think that
That's
works.
completely
Who ever
throws
thought
me
of that? Was just like,
It doesn't
what?
make sense whatsoever.
My technique, which I use, is actually helps me quite a lot. So you know how when you're talking to people, you often make eye contact. In fact, you always make eye contact with them. So if I'm doing a big presentation in front of lots of people, I look like I'm giving eye contact without giving any eye contact.
But how? Do you
So I will pick out. So for instance, if I'm looking at Ben, I'll be actually looking at that on the light switch over there. If I'm looking at Sarika, I'd actually be looking at the blue board over there. So it's kind of like looking through someone.
Yeah.
Or so if there's 100 people or something, you say, right, there's a fire exit there. Not only is that my first port of call when something happens, but that is my safety point of.
That's your focus point.
That's the focus point of. Okay, I'm kind of looking at that side of the audience, and they won't really notice that I'm not actually looking at them. I can look over there. There's I don't know, there's an empty row of seats there. Okay, there's nobody there. I can picture one of my friends. They give me a big smile on the face. That kind of thing.
That's quite a good
That's
tip.
a good technique.
It works. It helps out, definitely.
Yeah.
Sarika, tips?
So I like the prop thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's really helped me, having a prop. I'm holding a mic. And there's no harm in asking for it as well, because in certain situations, like if you are in a big room and some people are able to have that voice that can just project, you can ask for a little something to hold. Like even if it's sometimes your notes, that does help.
Yeah.
Actually, going on from that, I did a training course a few months ago, and one of the tips that they said were if you are feeling nervous at all, go into a room with maybe 20 or 30 people and stand there in silence and just look at one another. Don't say anything, just look. Because if you can stand the awkwardness of standing in a room, it doesn't have to be 30 people, it can be 5 people. If you can stand the awkwardness for about 3 or 4 minutes without saying anything, just giving eye contact, then you can do it in a large lecture theatre filled with 70 people for a couple of seconds.
You've reminded me about with speeches and tips. When I've done speeches and there's been an actual script I'm allowed to have, I've written in there in brackets sometimes, halfway down, brackets, breathe. Or like take a breath. Because you'll be so entrenched in what you're reading and what you're doing, you'll look down and all you'll see is the big words, breathe, and you'll go... And even though it might be a sign of nervousness to an audience, to you kind of think, wow, actually, I needed that breath. I needed that sudden moment. I go, anyway, and then you're suddenly so much calmer and so much cooler. But yeah, also practice in different environments and practice in different settings and practice in many ways that you possibly can. So, you know, if you've got time to prepare it, you know it front and back as well.
And do you write things down word for word?
I haven't figured out what's the best way to do it. I can't have a solid script and then I will practice it several times without actually looking at it, so that I can then it's not verbatim, but I know where I want to be with it.
Okay.
So if I ad lib around it and dance around it, it still seems like I'm not relying on a script, but I know what I need to say. If I suddenly panic and I freeze, I can go back into it and everything's laid out in front of me.
Okay.
I've tried to do it in bullet points, but my brain just kind of goes, just reads the bullet points.
Yeah.
It's suddenly my brain suddenly switches off and it can't connect the dots in sentences. It just looks like, hey, that's a list. I'm going to read out a list now. Like, no, you need to actually say it in actual words and explain each thing. Yeah. Well, hopefully this has helped you wherever you're listening or wherever you're watching, and hopefully it will encourage you to maybe speak better and be better in front of an audience.
Yeah, and get out your comfort zone, because everyone says you should do one thing a day that scares you.
Public
and
speaking.
that will help you sort of get over things like this.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Radio Harrow.
Radio Harrow.